What's up, beautiful people? I'm back from the luxurious, extravagant and flamboyant Dubai, where I had some time to spend with the new vivo X80 Pro, which is also luxurious, flamboyant and extravagant, especially when it comes to the camera setup. So what did I do? Yes, an extensive camera comparison against what is currently our favorite camera smartphone in this price range, the Xiaomi 12 Pro. So let's go and explore Dubai through the lenses of the vivo X80 Pro and the Xiaomi 12 Pro and grab some popcorn while you're at it, because you might spot your favorite tech YouTuber or two in there. If you're new here, I'm Ershad, your host and professional reviewer, and this is Trakin Tech English, your perfect destination for detailed gadget reviews. Also, don't forget to hit that red subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it to get notified whenever we put out an awesome new tech video. Our adventure started with a fantastic hot air balloon ride at 4 AM in the morning, and I decided to shoot with these phones like any normal person would. Now, the dark early morning sky with stars and planets was a perfect setup to test the Astro Photo mode. But as you can tell, there is a lot of luminance noise in Vivo's shot, despite the fact that it has captured more stars. Xiaomi 12 Pro doesn't have a special Astro mode, but the night mode works fine here. But when you do a proper apples to apples comparison of the respective night modes, the Vivo looks better. It offers such a crisp shot where Xiaomi struggles to focus. Also, the warm color of the sand has been faithfully recreated by Vivo out here. Now, before setting up the hot air balloon, there was a drone show against the gorgeous night sky, and I decided to test out the AI highlight video feature on the X80 Pro. Now, note that Vivo drops the resolution to 1080p 30 FPS, and it uses the might of the built-in V1 Plus chip dedicated to imaging to make the scene look brighter. But you see a lot of grain and bloom, which is not the ideal way to do this processing in my opinion. Now, after this mesmerizing drone show, the crew started setting up the hot air balloon, so I decided to test out the low light 4K 60 FPS video capabilities of these two phones. And clearly, low light videography is replete with grains and autofocusing issues on both the phones. The Xiaomi 12 Pro does offer slightly better focus here with attractive colors too. However, the real magic is when you switch on that AI mode on the vivo X80 Pro. Yes, you lose out on the resolution, but the footage here is mind-blowingly good. The special imaging chip manages to pull out details from the dark scene out of thin air. It's just absolutely nuts. Now, this is possibly my favorite shot of the hot air balloon on both these phones, and here you can clearly see how these two phones do processing differently, where Vivo tends to use a slower shutter and higher ISO, resulting in more grain in the shadows, but a very well exposed image. On the contrary, Xiaomi uses a faster shutter and lower ISO to maintain the look of the scene with higher contrast and cleaner image. I do personally prefer the Vivo out here though. Also, for your information, Vivo uses a custom Samsung GN1 sensor called Samsung GNV, V for Vivo, and Xiaomi uses the IMX707, which is Sony's sensor. Both are 50 megapixel sensors, but the Sony sensor is slightly larger with a sensor size of 1 by 1.28 inches, whereas the Vivo has a 1 by 1.3 inch sensor. Now, once we started flying, the X80 Pro returned a great shot every single time in every single scenario. For example, this shot of all the balloons in the air using the 2x 12 megapixel telephoto is super crisp on the X80 Pro compared to the Xiaomi 12 Pro, which is, by the way, a 50 megapixel telephoto camera. In the second picture, I managed to get Xiaomi to focus, but the Vivo is still better here. And let's not forget that you get a 5x periscope telephoto as well on the Vivo. It doesn't have the best quality or anything with the 8 megapixel resolution, but it comes in handy when you want to zoom in closer. Now, in this shot of the fire in the hot air balloon, the dynamics of the gradients looks absolutely fantastic on the X80 Pro compared to the Xiaomi. Plus, there's too much grain in Xiaomi's shadow region. Now, obviously, I took a lot of selfies, and I don't even have to say this, the X80 Pro just decimates the Xiaomi 12 Pro. You get very close to natural facial tones, crisp background, and just a generally fantastic image. Selfie portraits look nearly identical on both, but generally I've noticed that Xiaomi's algorithm offers slightly better edge detection. Now, moving on to the pictures captured using the rear camera, you can see how Vivo manages to maintain a clean gradient in the background. The highlights are very well controlled too. A lot of the lens flare and the ghosting lighting issues that are present on many other flagship phones are not present here because of that Zeiss collaboration that Vivo has going on. Now, up in the air, the sweeping landscape was really beautiful and both the phones did a great job of capturing the views in this 4K video capture that you can see. Plus, you get this great horizon level tilt feature. Essentially, what it does is it maintains the horizon even if you are rotating the phone 360 degrees. Now, again, in this photo of the sweeping vistas, you can see how clean the gradient looks on the X80 Pro. Now finally, I managed to get Geeky Ranjit to pose for a portrait too. Both are fairly good shots, but you get a closer crop on the vivo X80 Pro and the edge detection is better than the Xiaomi 12 Pro, unlike what we saw in the selfie portraits. And facial tones, again, I don't even have to say this, are damn good on the Vivo. Now the sun started rising and this is where Vivo showcased its prowess in high dynamic range processing, as you can see from the pictures out here. Whether you shoot in 1x or 2x, you almost always get a clean reproduction of the blazing sun compared to the Xiaomi 12 Pro. The colors and details are way better too, and let's not forget that you get true 5x zoom as well for an even better frame. Now what you will see on your screen next are some more samples of a few hot air balloons that were shot from ours. You let me know which ones you like better in the comment section below. Now once we landed, Ranjit had a question for the pilot and this is how it looked on video. I must say, I like the natural output of the Xiaomi 12 Pro here. It doesn't have the slightly boosted video colors that the X80 Pro showcases.
We were the lead crew, so I'm telling all the others what they should be doing. Okay. And so that's why I'm talking to the airport as well, and talking to all the other pilots, talking to the crew. We were the lead crew, so I'm telling all the others what they should be doing. Okay. And so that's why I'm talking to the airport as well, and talking to all the other pilots, talking to the crew.
After the hot air balloon, we were so hungry that we decided to take some 1950s vintage Land Rovers to our breakfast area. No big deal. In this picture of the massive Ford SUV that got us to the hot air balloon destination with our driver and the sun in the background, obviously Vivo crushes Xiaomi's HDR algorithm here. And it does it again in these comparison pictures of the vintage, gorgeous 1950s Land Rovers. Now I also took a shot using the ultrawide on both the phones of these vintage Land Rovers in line. You will notice that in the grills on the white one, the 12 Pro's pixel bint sample from the 50 megapixel resolution does look slightly sharper. But again, dynamic range performance, when you see in the rear, is better on the Vivo. Now, I took the opportunity of riding in the sand to actually take selfie videos using these two phones. While Xiaomi does offer higher FPS of 60 FPS, the dynamic range performance on Vivo is just leagues better. And this is despite, switching on the HDR mode on the Xiaomi 12 Pro. And just take a listen to yourself for the sound quality. You will be mind blown by how well Vivo cuts out the wind noise. It's a beautiful, beautiful drive. And you can see how Vivo is getting the dynamic range just right and Xiaomi is just messing it up really bad. It's a beautiful, beautiful drive. You can see how Vivo is getting the dynamic range just right and Xiaomi is just messing it up. If it is selfie video recording that you seek, the vivo X80 Pro is the one for you. However, I am definitely disappointed by the fact that these flagship phones don't offer 4K video recording from the front camera. That's just, something that gets my goat. Now we are at the breakfast area and I shot a couple of pictures to showcase the difference between the Zeiss natural color mode, which is new and I like it, and the regular color mode. You can see the clear differences for yourself. Fun fact, I shot this entire trip using the Zeiss natural color mode and not the basic mode, which makes the pictures look vivid, but the user has a choice and that's definitely a good thing. Anyway, here's another ultrawide to showcase how Xiaomi has generally crisper ultrawide shots. Finally, Sajid decided to quit his job and become a falconer, so here's a shot of him. I wanted to showcase this just so I can highlight the color accuracy of the Zeiss natural colors on the Vivo here compared to the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Now after breakfast, I went back to the room, got a good sleep, and then we went to the Museum of the Future. Now right at the entry, I took this picture. The X80 Pro does offer very true to life colors, picks the correct white point and has better dynamics too. But the sharpness is slightly better on the Xiaomi 12 Pro's IMX707. Take a look at the 100% crop of the VOCO logo in the background. Once inside, I got a sample of this neon lit room from the Museum of the Future in ultrawide, which actually looks great on both the phones really. But when I went closer to a specimen, the Vivo shows how its dynamic range prowess comes in handy out here with a very crisp control of the highlights compared to the Xiaomi 12 12 Pro. And in artificial, white light of this futuristic looking public transport vehicle, I like how Vivo manages to expose correctly. Xiaomi does look more vibrant of the two in this direct comparison, something you can achieve by switching off the Zeiss natural color mode. Now, I took more ultra-wide angle samples from the deck of the Museum of the Future. While Xiaomi 12 Pro offers, better sharpness, like I mentioned before, in the ultra-wide angle shots, again, the dynamic range performance and the way, Vivo controls the highlights is definitely better. And not to mention, you get more natural colors too. Now, after the Museum of the Future, which was quite underwhelming, we had our dinner at a yacht, which was pretty great. Now, the tall buildings touching the skyline looked majestic in the night. And as you can see, Xiaomi's contrasty approach comes in handy here with the nice dark reproduction of the skies. And if you look at it closely, Vivo has a lot of luminance noise, like we saw in the pictures from the early morning. But if you look closely, you will realize that the custom GNV sensor offers much crisper details. And the moon was also pretty beautiful that night. And Vivo can do a better job with the super moon mode because you can zoom in to a maximum of 60x. You get a closer, crisper shot. Now, once on the yacht, I had decided to take a lot of pictures, but since the yacht was shaking a lot and it was already night, it would be very difficult for these cameras to get, a very focused shot. So I limited myself to when I could take a proper shot. And just before docking, I managed this shot of the beautiful skyline. Now, again, Xiaomi 12 Pro sky looks clean, but it is the Vivo that is sharper. Just look at how crisp the water looks. In fact, since I was shooting all this while in the Zeiss color mode, like I mentioned, the image doesn't look as vibrant, but maybe you can just switch that off for this specific scene since you have the choice, and you might get a more vibrant image too. So that was a fun-filled day of shooting in Dubai, but the Vivo can actually do a lot more creative things. First thing that it can do is shoot gorgeous looking portraits in the new cinematic portrait mode. The blue light lens flare is a very James Cameron look. I quite like how these portraits look, but this is a very personal artistic choice. You let me know what you guys think. Apart from that, you have a cinematic mode in video recording with a few predefined LUTs as well. Now, if you see this video out here, with the pilot in the background of the hot air balloon, it looks very cool. And I managed a classic, movie LUT as well, which looks pretty damn good as well. While it does look good, the edge detection can be a bit of a hit and a miss sometimes. And that's also true for the iPhone 13 Pro and the 13 Pro Max. Also note that you can only shoot in 1080p resolution in this, cinematic video mode. But still, this cinematic video mode of Arun looks absolutely gorgeous even in the dark. This is something that I had to show you guys. As you can tell, I had a blast shooting with the vivo X80 Pro in Dubai. While it is still not a perfect setup and there are a lot of loose ends to be tied, what I like about the X80 Pro is that Vivo throws a lot at you and gives you a lot of options to ensure that you can make a great picture. It drills down professional level shooting features into easy to access modes for even regular people, and sometimes spits out images that makes you wonder whether you actually shot that with a phone. But there is still a lot of room for improvement, and when it comes to video recording, I might just gravitate towards the iPhone 13 Pro in a clutch. The Xiaomi 12 Pro, a good shooter in its own right, does lose out to the vivo X80 Pro out here. But yes, Xiaomi offers consistency with its 350 megapixel cameras, and low light performance on the Xiaomi is actually very good, especially when it does create contrast. Plus, most importantly, the autofocus performance in good daylight conditions is actually very good on the Xiaomi 12 Pro. Anyway, hopefully Vivo will push out an update for the X80 Pro to improve the HDR halo issues, the astrophotography mode, and give better cutout edge detection in the cinematic mode, which is good to begin with. There are still some slight rough edges that Vivo needs to fix. So what do you guys think of the vivo X80 Pro's camera performance? Let me know in the comment section below, and do let me know if you guys want a full review of the phone as well, because as a phone too, this is a great phone. Until next time, this is Arshad signing off. Keep tracking and stay safe.